Мы сидели за столом 28 марта, кумовья, я. Посидели.
We with old friends gathered at the table. Then at 10 p.m. we went for coffee.
Пройтись к ларьку, попить кофе.
When we were having coffee, I was called.
Сидим, и мне звонок в 11 часов ночи.
Good night, I'm all ears. The military enlistment office of the Kiev-Shevchenko district is calling. We're waiting for you in the morning with your personal belongings at 9 a.m. Yevhen was enlisted on his wife's birthday on March 28th. His wife Valentyna was shocked by such an unexpected gift. She had never packed her husband's things to go to war. God forbid that he go to the front line. What does he need there? All these thoughts feared her. She searched for spoons, forks, cups, socks, and prepared his backpack all night. In the morning, a man in uniform looked through Yevhen's documents. He first wanted to send me to the mortar division, but I said that I was a grenade launcher operator. He said that my future division would be established. Yevhen retrained for 40 days in Bila Tserkva. He led a grenade launcher division in which 30 soldiers were subordinated to him. Some of them were aware of what was happening, while others were not. Time would tell whether they were ready for war. The problem was that the Ukrainian government was not ready to provide them with all that they need. This is because this was the first time that Ukraine faced a war situation since its independence. This, of course, caused many difficulties.
Выдали не совдеповский, а вот этот наш дубок, стекляшку, шапки, вот эти.
We were given a war outfit, a canteen and a pot.
Да, ремень был со звездой, кокарды были по краю, ну, эти бляхи были.
The military jacket somewhat resembled an everyday coat. I refused to take it. People were not ready.
Я говорю, девушка, зачем вы мне это выдаете? Это ж пальто. Люди не были готовы.
Yevhen remembers that from Bila Tserkva, they were sent to the Zhytomyr training ground. But once in the middle of the night, soldiers were ordered to get on a train. We got on a train with our military gear. The train had around 50 to 55 rail cars.
Такой длинный состав. Вагонов 50-55.
We left for Komish-Zorya in the Zaporizhia Oblast. There were first checkpoints between the Zaporizhia and Donetsk Oblasts. The 72nd Brigade was engaged in checkpoints, and then it moved towards Luhansk, where the serious battles took place.
На Изварино мы остановились. В тот момент уже...
We stopped near Izvarine. The armed forces of Ukraine moved from Luhansk. We were to form a ring with the 24th Brigade to expel DNR and LNR troops from the border.
От границы. И тогда уже произошло окружение, их окружение, то есть ДНР, ЛНР, ОПГ. Но так не получилось, потому что...
But this did not happen because the 24th Brigade was destroyed by great rocket systems in their camp located in Zelenopilia, and our war began.
На поле. Прямым попаданием градов прямо в ихний лагерь. И началась наша война реально.
From July 12, 2014, the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade troops were surrounded by terrorists at the Zvarine checkpoint in the Luhansk Oblast. They were totally surrounded together with soldiers of the 24th, 51st Mechanized and 79th Air Mobile Brigades, who survived after the shelling in Zelenopilia.
Поначалу было...
At first it was very interesting and adventurous until you really saw that military hardware was exploding 5 to 10 meters around us, and then heard the sound of bullets being fired at us.
Техника за 10 метров, за 5 метров. Потом, когда начинают свистеть пули.
Yevhen remembers that during a week, separatists burnt all the equipment of the Ukrainian military. Russia constantly supplied the separatists with modern weapons, so open fire did not stop from that side. A very narrow corridor, especially for the reinforcement of Ukrainian troops, was fired upon from the mountain of Savur-Mahila. The headquarters reported about seizure of the road used for food supply for Ukrainian soldiers. Convoys of trucks provided us with food. Later, only aircraft dropped water and ammunition.
Сначала привозили, потом уже начали реже. Самолетом сбрасывали воду, самолетами сбрасывали боеприпасы.
Ukrainian soldiers had to face the enemy without food, water and ammunition in the so-called Southern Trap.
С 7 утра нас уже обрабатывал миномет.
At 7 a.m., we were shelled by mortars. We covered ourselves with ammunition boxes in the trenches. We found a tractor and used it to make a fence. Quite honestly, I prayed for our souls and said goodbye to all.
Мы этим трактором сгребали землю, чтобы сделать какое-то укрытие в виде забора, чтобы можно было проходить, чтобы тебе в голову ничего не прилетело.
Among the equipment, there were a few vehicles and an IFV. Among the 60 soldiers, only 30 remained alive.
Техники у нас уже не было. Там какие-то пару машин, которые еще там ездили, и одно БМП осталось. И нас 30 с чем-то человек, с 60 человек осталось.
Salvation came in 22 days after the 3rd Special Forces Regiment rushed to the territory and drew enemy fire. After that, the 7th Company of the 72nd Brigade, where Yevhen served, broke out of the encirclement.
Мы вырвались и приехали на Авросевку.
Then we went to Amrosivka, to our brigade. There was silence and peace, as if there was no war, although food columns, ammunition boxes were transported to the positions.
Ящики грузятся, боеприпасы грузятся, отправляются на позиции, все хорошо.
We arrived coal black. Our guys asked where we had been and whether we had experienced the war. We could only respond that we got a good taste of it.
Мы как раз уже и попробовали.
They were called the 7th Black Company because they came back with coal-black faces because they had no place to wash. After a meal, a wash and a rest, new soldiers arrived and began digging trenches.
Нас не поняли сначала. Что вы делаете?
Our fellow soldiers were totally surprised by our actions. When we finished with trenches, we slept there, and other guys slept on the camp beds. They thought that shooting was far from them.
Еще на чем-то. Они думали, ну, там где-то стреляют, но не у них.
At 12 o'clock, DNR supporters attacked the Ukrainian army with Grad missile systems. The shells flew both at the Ukrainian soldiers and at the residential quarters of Amrosivka.
Сначала непонятно, что это было, потому что...
We were not aware of Grad rocket systems that beautifully flew 40 kilometers away from us. Red and scarlet flashes across the skies.
Ну, тогда погибло очень много ребят. Я их знал. Я с ними был на блокпостах, я с ними общался и на других местах.
Then many of our guys perished. It was a terrible feeling when I said to my fellow soldier good night, and in a few hours he was dead.
Лег спать, и буквально через пару часов его уже не стало.
In this war, Yevhen dealt with the deaths of his friends and then a danger to his own life. He suffered from 2 shell shocks. After that, he returned to the front with the 1st Battalion and fought near Volnovaha. Being demobilized and returning to a peaceful life, he felt that it was harder than in the war. In peaceful life, he did not clearly understand the rules of the game, so Yevhen did not know how to live. I returned to my old job. I started working. I lost interest in my job and understood that it was not a job I wanted to be involved in. Now I understand this. If you don't like your job, then change it and seek another profession that satisfies you. I was in a deep depression. I had work, a family, and there was no reason to go into panic, but it was frightening for me. Once Yevhen's fellow advised him to try himself to work as a bodyguard. He liked this idea. This job included danger and adrenaline that he lacked. In this basement, Yevhen trains with his colleagues. He practices shooting from combat weapons and throwing knives. The fact is, a bodyguard must react quickly, be responsible, very attentive and adequate to the situation in crowded places, and especially if a woman is a potential assassin. As a bodyguard, first of all, pay attention to the footwear. I am absolutely sure that it will not be very comfortable for a female terrorist to run on high heels.
Не побежит, значит, они должны быть, если она даже не террористка, а киллер, да, она должна передвигаться и быстро передвигаться, на каблуках же она и побежит. Я, во-первых, территорию смотрю.
I inspect the entire territory, which includes all the trash containers located near the territory of the office building.
Офисов, и то мусорники приходится проверять. И мусорники проверяют, что в мусорнике лежит. как лежит, как мусорка стоит.
Not only complexion, but a conscious decision is of great importance for a bodyguard. Those who have no motivation in taking on such a job have no chance of working here.
Все думают, что телохранитель должен быть вот такой где-то...
There's a stereotype that any bodyguard should weigh 120 kilograms, though it depends on the task.
Какой задача у этого телохранителя стоит?
Yevhen explains that in the case of an escort, the complexion is an important factor. If it is a matter of the client's safety, then during the escort it's necessary to avoid attention. Such bodyguards are in high demand. Alas, the country is in a state of war, and the deterioration of the level of crime forces people to think about additional security measures. And this is precisely what makes Yevhen's job quite popular.
От своей работы я кайфую, да.
I enjoy my job and like being in such a physical condition. But money for him is not the main thing. Yevhen knows for sure that the quality of life is not about money, but how one feels this life. I do not wake up in the morning thinking about money, because the more you think about money, the greater the headache. You are better off developing in what you enjoy the most. Finding yourself is the choice of a warrior. Nobody will do it for you, says Yevhen. We have all the chances to survive and return from the point of no return. We have the right to choose what we like. This is the secret of returning to a peaceful society. You are the commander of your own life and nobody else. So decide what is important for you and act.